So this was me running to get a shot of this man walking along the breakwater. Was it worth it? I can't really tell you confidently. I liked the result, but in my head I thought it would turn out maybe better. Regardless of that, I think the attitude was good. Noticing an opportunity and rushing to it without second thought. Lately, I've been using headphones when shooting photos in places I know, and it is helping me to get into the zone. And when you're in the flow, in the zone, this is when you are likely to get good shots. It is not guaranteed, but what's for sure is that you're having the most fun out shooting. So please join me and embark on the ferry to spend the day shooting with my 50mm lens in Miyajima as I break down some compositions and my thought process for some of the photos. The ferry to reach Miyajima is the perfect spot to warm up, and first I saw this couple by the fence. I started with a shot focusing on the background with them as an autofocus silhouette in the foreground. The idea is good, but there is nothing very interesting in the background, making this shot lacking some purpose. But then I changed my angle and noticed how the light was bouncing on the wife's hat. An overcast weather makes things harder to get more straightforward contrast in a photo, but here it created some, resulting in a better shot. Despite being on the same plane as the other people in the frame, she really stands out. The other silhouettes are much darker, so it is easy to understand that she is the subject in this photo. Overall, I like the peaceful and scenic feeling coming out of this frame. As I reached Miyajima, I went to the only konbini on the island to grab a small coffee. There was a lot of people around, so I tried to capture some interesting interactions while being careful about my compositions, which were quite centered for the most part. Most people don't know that if you go left after going out of the ferry terminal, you will end up in a much calmer area of the island. No souvenir shops, no restaurants, a little bit more nature and a better sense of the lifestyle living on Miyajima. This is where I plan to go for the first half of the day. So on the way I was attracted by this blooming cherry tree, but what was more interesting is what happened underneath. We have this little boy trying to have an adventure on his own and touching the flowers while the mother is trying to prevent him from doing so. I thought it was a gentle and nice springtime scene. And so now we are coming back to the first shot. What made me rush to get this shot is the fact that we have one single subject walking the breakwater, which helps to make this shot more simple. The placement of the subject was also ideal to achieve a nice separation with the background. I also like the general atmosphere from the weather and the sense of scale we have between the subject and everything around him. I cropped it in this letterbox format because I thought it made the composition more intentional and let me eliminate some unnecessary clutter in the foreground and some negative space from the sky. I really like what we have here with the nice sakura tree. Here we have this road curving that makes nice leading lines. This little truck could serve as a secondary subject. But before, when I just arrived, there was no cars on the road, so I was hoping for a car to go through, but this truck came here and parked there, so this is not very ideal. So I might wait a little bit more to see if I can have a more interesting subject, but otherwise, like by adjusting my angle, coming a little bit more to the right here, I think we have a nice frame like this. Before, I was more in the center, and that way, like the angle on the truck is not that good, and then they get too far from each other. So yeah, I think it was better on the right side here. So what I'm doing here is using this tree as a way to simplify my scene and block a lot of the left side of the frame, but I have to be careful about my position, because here if I take it at eye level, you see this line on the torii is like mixing very weirdly with the top of the mountain background. So I have to either go up and find a way to align it with the mountain, which could look nice, but I'm not very fan of this version. What I decided to do is like going down, so it creates a nice space, a nice gap between the top of the mountain and this line on the torii, so there's enough room to breathe for everything in the composition, and it works much better. It's quite difficult to find what to do with this fence on the left side here in the foreground. I might just go up there, trying to eliminate that from the frame. Coming up here, shooting eye level, I can eliminate this fence, which works perfectly. Now I just want a car to come my way, so we will wait for it. I love this kind of scene, and I'm thinking of a composition with the truck here, the tree obviously, and this red sign. I will compose vertically, and it will be a bit tricky to exclude the car from the composition because the sign and the car are very close to each other. So I might use a little bit of a stamp remove tool, which I think is completely fine. It would have been perfect if this tree was as bloomed as those ones here on the left, but yeah, it's still not too bad. Again, rule of 3, but I don't really like that the last boat is quite far from those two. It would have been perfect if all the boats were like same distance from each other, but yeah, let's grab a shot anyway. There is something quite interesting to do here with this thing. I don't know the name, but this thing to carry other things with these flowers, because the tire has like a red thing in the center. Those flowers are also red, so it matches very well. It's very much of a still life kind of shot, but it works quite well. And this is getting framed by these little trees full of flowers, so I think it works nice. I think now I'll show you my favorite shot of the day. I saw this couple sitting on the stone wall enjoying the peace and stillness of this unknown part of Miyajima. I had to be quick and silent, so I prepared my settings and switched to the silent mode. I lift up my camera and purposely frame the subjects in one of the holes of the torii gate, so there is no unpleasing overlap. My perfectionist mind, looking at the final photo, wishes I had lifted up my camera a few extra centimeters to have a bigger gap between the torii gate and the top of the head of the guy. But I think it's already pretty good like that, and I was lucky that they were wearing neutral tone outfits, so it doesn't clash with the bright and strong color from the torii. After that, I made my way back to the busier part of Miyajima, snapping a few shots along the way, and I think it is a good time to come back on what I said before about my use of headphones when taking photos recently. It has been very beneficial for my photography, and maybe more so on how I feel during doing photography. I think it is something I would do only in places I'm familiar with, because when I explore new places, I am genuinely excited and I don't need anything to be present and to be in the zone. But when I'm shooting in the same place for the I don't know many time already, headphones are really helping me to find a flow. When walking familiar places, it is easy for my mind to wander in my thoughts and make a lot of plans, scenarios, or come up with new YouTube scripts. It is a very good thing to do, this kind of deep thinking to solve problems and come up with new ideas, but the problem is that in such case, my mind is almost exclusively focused on what is happening in my head and not around me. I find myself not really looking for compositions and barely lifting up my camera to try some shots. Using headphones and choosing the right kind of music helps me to create a wall, preventing my mind to wander and be in the present moment. I stay alert and on top of all the things happening around me. I think it also frees up my mind and let me follow my instinct to come up with more creative or abstract compositions. And now if we talk about the type of music to listen to, and yes, I did not mention podcasts or audiobooks because they are a no-go. You would be back to focusing on something else than the present moment. Music with lyrics is also not ideal because you might focus on the lyrics and again, limiting the mental space you allocate to photography. My go-to kinds of music when shooting are anything without lyrics and slightly up-tempo. I love modern jazz, bands like Go-Go Penguin or Mammal Hands are my recent favorites. Movie soundtracks are also a good alternative, I think. I know some people are more into house or electronic music. It's not really my style, but I guess they also work great to find and stay in the zone when out shooting. I will keep it rather brief, but that was my opinion on headphones and photography and how I have been using them as of lately. I am curious to have your take on this in the comments, and if you have not tried, I would really encourage you to do so. Sorry for the GoPro angle on that one, but I found the new flowers through frosted window kind of shot. I have been collecting these for about a year now, so I'm always happy to find a new one to add to the collection. I like how this one has a lot of red and greenish tones that are complementary colors. Here I recorded this clip to show why I opted for a Dutch tilt. I thought it looked better and allowed me to include more of the blossom tree. I found the composition overall more dynamic and purposeful. So sometimes a Dutch tilt is not really to provoke a sense of unease or imbalance to the viewer, but simply to make something that is aesthetically more pleasing. I shot this corner once in the past, and coming back today with a more overcast weather works also very well. There's something I like about the different patches of color, if we can say so, like the white cream here, the kind of orange brown here, the light blue here, and there's like straight lines a bit everywhere. There's no overlap and there's just not too much mess, which makes for a very simple shot, although there's plenty of elements and plenty of lines, and I think on 50mm it works quite well, really focusing on this part. We have the car here to add some sort of human element, even though it's not human but more of a machine, but yeah, I think it works pretty good.
Deixa de preguiça, deixa o cobertor, deixa que hoje eu vou ser o teu calor. Sei que tá friozinho, já sei como é. Sei que o nosso amor aquece quando quer. De manhãzinho o sol nasceu. Deu esperança de beijinhos. Não espere tanto, tanto tenho a dar pra fazer o frio evaporar. Deixa de preguiça, deixa o cobertor, deixa que hoje eu vou ser o seu calor. Sei que tá friozinho, já sei como é. Sei que o nosso amor aquece quando quer. De manhãzinho o sol nasceu. Deu esperança de beijinhos. Não espere tanto, Deixa que hoje eu vou ser o teu calor. Sei que tá friozinho, já sei como é. Sei que o nosso amor aquece quando quer. De manhãzinho o sol nasceu. Deu esperança de beijinhos. Não espere tanto, tanto tenho a dar pra fazer o fim.
So overall the conditions were not the best from the weather and how blossomed the cherry tree were, but I still managed to have a lot of fun shooting during that day, and I hope it translated throughout this video. And thanks a lot for watching as always, and yeah, see you next time. Bye.